Wayne, how are you doing today?
Okay.
All
Pretty good.
right, so yeah, so this is our closing out session after working together for a couple of months now since Christmas. And I'm looking forward to just hearing some feedback from you on how far you've progressed, my coaching style, just, any other kind of basically just how it went and how you feel about it. So let me just pull up my little questionnaire here. And this is going to be a joy to do, considering that I don't have two screens. So bear with me. All right. Okay, so yeah. What specific improvements have you noticed in your squash game since we began our training?
Well, just to go back to the beginning, but your questionnaire and stuff, what I recall was, what are my goals, objectives, what I expect to accomplish? And the main thing for me was mobility. So as you know, I've been diagnosed, I have some minor osteoarthritis in my knees. And so it's a little bit painful, but I think we went with the approach of strengthening the core and certainly the legs and muscle portion just above and below the knee. And I think that has been successful. And I can tell by comments of my colleagues on the squash court that my movement is better. So I think it's definitely been an improvement. I did a lot of exercises that I've never done before. And you see people do them in the gym and you think, oh, what the hell is that going to do? But when you really
Yeah.
when you really add that sort of strength thing, it it helps. And it's the lateral movement that has been causing me grief since this thing started. So I feel a little more comfortable in lunging, and that was a strength of mine before. I could really lunge, and not that I could do the splits, but I could really kind of do those long hops. So I feel more comfortable in doing that. So what was I going to say about the strength thing? I have a high threshold for pain. So the pain doesn't really bother me, but in any athlete's mind or the back of their mind, they should realize that pain is okay, but you don't want too much pain, because if you have too much pain, that means you're doing damage. So,
Yep.
and I've been told that a number of times. So I think I've tried to keep that in balance there. And I realized that I can probably go out and play for about an hour and a quarter, and that's pretty solid. If I play beyond that, then I fall in the stupid range. So,
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that you're realizing that, like you can push yourself, absolutely. And, I mean, probably like 99% of us are deep in some form of pain. Once we get past 40, it's just kind of inevitable. Or basically, I feel like if you don't have any sort of pain, then you probably haven't lived much, right? Because that's
Exactly.
just comes from living and using our body, right? That's great. I'm so glad to hear that you feel a difference, you see a difference, your colleagues and friends are seeing a difference on the squash court. That's amazing. Let's see. So specifically, I know you've kind of talked about that here. My phone's going off. Apologies. So can you describe a moment in a match or practice when you felt these improvements made a difference? Like just anything in particular that you could remember?
Well, I'm going to say the stopping and starting, and that's what really squashes. You should be able to react and perform some sort of action. So, in the past, I would say 3 to 6 months, I felt a little bit uncomfortable or wary in doing that, because the mind says you got to stop at this point and go back to that point. So I couldn't do it unless I'm not sure that I'm describing it well, but I just feel more comfortable and able to do the stop and start according to my reaction, kind of things that I've been doing, because I've been playing for 45 years. So a lot of that stuff has really been ingrained. You see this, you do that, the guy plays this shot, you play that shot. So some of those things, you have to, as you age, you have to realize that, well, maybe I just can't do that anymore. But there are other things you can do to improvise. There's always something you can do to get around it. And maybe that's, at least I'm able to do that. Stop and start, maybe not as much as I used to, but you have to put everything in perspective.
That's great. That's great to hear. How do you feel about your overall fitness and athletic performance now compared to when you started?
Well, the fitness thing, I would call, and again, I'm just going to keep the squash theme in mind here, is squash is mostly quick start, anaerobic stuff. And we haven't worked on that, but however, that wasn't the purpose of it. That anaerobic stuff, that's me. I mean, we worked on the stars thing. I mean, that is good, but really that would have to be increased on my part, probably at least 5 or 6 fold. But at least I can do it. So as long as I can do it, then I can get out there. So that's the anaerobic thing that I need to work on myself, which I have no problem doing. You can do it, make it as simple as just riding the stationary bike and doing some sprints there. However, I'm glad we incorporated the stars into, because it was really kind of a test ground, as if, well, if I can do the stars, then I can get around the court. So,
Right.
and I think that would be a strength of yours, kind of realize or identifying what you have to work with. Because I think that you were kind of new to the squash regime stuff, and I put in that term ghosting, and you didn't know what it was before, but I suspect you did some research on that, and any veteran squash player would know what ghosting is. But I would say the common person does not. It's more, it'd probably be more like a chat feature thing. You're ghosting me. But
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. No, that's amazing. Yeah, it was a big learning curve for me and a challenge, and obviously that's why I got into the game of personal training, one-on-one coaching is, I love learning about people's lives and, their hobbies and their joys, what excites them. So it was awesome to learn about squash from you and to be able to help you with your performance, even knowing that I know nothing about the game, but at least being that I'm a personal trainer, I have a background of understanding body mechanics and what works as far as strengthening, the right muscle groups and what to help you progress your game. So which exercises or drills do you believe were most beneficial for your balance specifically?
Well, anything that was to do with standing on one leg, because as you probably observed, my time in doing that didn't really last more than a few seconds. So, I can't quantify it and say, I can do it for 10 seconds now, but I can say there was an improvement. And we did quite a few of those kind of one-legged things with a minor weight on one side, flipping the arms this way. And I do try to incorporate that into my regime before I play squash. Just get out there for 5 or 10 minutes and do, they may look a little silly, but they are important balance drills, and you need to be balanced and set to really kind of perform for anybody, in any sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did notice just over the past couple few months that we've worked together that I saw an improvement just through our online sessions. I could see, it might not be completely quantified to you yet, but I did see an improvement just, from a session to session. Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
So keep working on the balance. Don't ever get, always, I'm glad that you're incorporating that and keep doing that because, if we don't, we lose it, right?
Right.
Yeah. So,
And just to make a comment on, I think one of my short, medium, and long range goals, I did want to play in the nationals this year, and I got a text from an old friend of mine who wants to play in the national doubles, doubles isn't my favorite game, but it is a game. However, so I consider that an honor to be asked. So we are going to play in March in the Canadians here. They're actually in Toronto this year, so that should be
awesome.
some fun.
Where was it? Where was it last time? It changes all over?
I think it was out west last year in BC, and this year it's at the Granite Club in downtown Toronto.
Well, that makes it easier for you. Nice, close.
Oh yeah, for sure. Right? That'd be great.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to just ask you a few more questions here about just coaching feedback. What aspects of my coaching did you enjoy the most?
I'm not sure that enjoyment is the right word, but kind of perception. And I guess what I noticed is that, when we were doing a specific drill or an action, you often said, was that enough? Should we do more? Should we do less? So you really kind of want to tune in to the person's strengths and their weaknesses. Sometimes you're doing too much, and maybe as a teacher or as a consultant, you don't realize that. So you kind of have to stay on the person and say, well, should we go harder or do enough? And, we did that a number of times, and I felt that, maybe my rest time could be increased or decreased. So that's an important thing in kind of ascertaining where your pupil is. And going forward, things change. Hopefully you're improving it. Maybe you can do it better, faster, more, whatever. So I would say that's a strength of yours, kind of figuring out where your student is at any given time.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's important to stay in tune. Like, you cannot just give somebody an exercise and expect them just to do it. And you know what? You may be able to perform it, 110% one day, but a couple days later, for whatever reason, your body, you're tired, whatever it may be, so yeah, definitely a personal trainer has to be in tune with a client daily, right? Like, 'cause the needs change daily, and your ability, right, can change daily based on how you're feeling. So just on that note then, was there anything that you felt could be improved in my training approach? And I'm definitely all ears for this one, because this is going to help me in the future.
I think I'll make this comment, and maybe we did, but we just could have done it more. And that is, at the beginning, when we start, is maybe dig a little bit deeper than the questionnaire. Like, really find out, okay, Wayne, strength. Okay, Wayne, you're playing squash. Well, that's a high performance anaerobic sport. So maybe kind of dig in deeper as like, what's this guy really after? Just because you ask me the questions, it's like having a discussion with your spouse. There may be some more behind it than's really coming out. Of course, I mean, you know why I was playing it, but a lot of times I felt I could have probably been pushed more. And I know I still do have a specific squash coach, and one of his strengths is, nope, Wayne, not working hard enough, not do it again, back there. So, I mean, you
Yeah.
need that. Of course, he's the longtime personal friend, but, he's very tough. And he drives people nuts because he works them hard, but that's his reputation. So you could have worked me harder in certain areas, but, you asked for a comment, that's my comment.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Yeah. And I think you're right. In the beginning, now that I'm kind of getting into this a little bit further with the personal training and the online coaching, I think it's important to even have, before we begin a session like this, with a new client, to actually just have a discussion. So rather than just a simple questionnaire, sure, the questionnaire is great to get an idea, but yeah, to delve deeper, have an opening coaching call. Sure, we did a little bit of that, a little bit of assessments and stuff and chatted back and forth. But I think it's important to even do this a type of a coaching call rather than at the end, but in the beginning as well. So I think I'll probably start incorporating that. I appreciate that feedback.
And one more comment on that note is, like I was only doing this for 2 months, and not to say I wouldn't come back at some point, but if someone is on a continual basis, like say you had a 6 month deal with somebody, maybe once a month, do a 20-minute call with them to say, how's it going? Where are you at? Do we work you harder? Do we try something different? That sort of thing. Maybe that would be better incorporated into the whole program.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if it's more of like not just one-on-one personal training sessions that the client has asked for. If they want to have more of a package where it's hybrid coaching, and definitely that's a great idea. I love it. So let's go back to you. So I know you said you have a long-term goal, and you did tell me that in the end. And there could be a chance that we end up working together in the near future. So what are your next goals with squash and in fitness going forward now?
Well, I have started this, I think I mentioned MLS laser therapy, and I've had a couple of sessions. Hard to measure it again. I think it's doing much better. The guy said you come in twice a week and you're going to get better results,
Oh, wow. So it's that, and that's an injection. That's for your osteo in your knee, right?
That's right. It's supposed to remove the toxins, reduce inflammation. I've been at this game for 6 months now. So is he talking me a line? I don't know. It seems better, but we'll give it a little bit more.
It kind of makes you wonder if it's more the work you're doing with your daily consistent mobility work and strength training, or is it a combination of the two?
Very, very difficult to say.
Unfortunately, I guess a couple more months down the road, you might have a different, better insight into it.
Unfortunately, I would say my orthopedic doctor who does some cortisone injections, he's an older dude, and he's not really up on, therapy. He said, oh, yeah, you take care of that. So someone said I should drop him, but he was quite good at analyzing the issue and determining what was wrong and where I could go long term. So, everybody's got an opinion, but as my family doctor said, everybody's body is different. So you got to deal with it in different ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then what I was sort of like, and it tends to be that our healthcare system kind of just lets everything go until we can't stand it anymore. Right. And then maybe they'll help you. So we kind of have to be proactive the way that you are, and just take care of, just be well in tune with our bodies and take care of ourselves and basically advocate for ourselves.
I'll just make one more comment on the ultimate long range goal. So I really haven't played much singles, but I do plan on getting back in the court, and that will be the true test, because that is a lot of stop and start movement or action. So it's a work in progress. I really can't say at what stage I'm at there, but I'm sure it will be better.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the more you keep up with it, obviously your workout programming will change, will progress, so always, I would suggest always tracking it too, right? Like tracking any improvements. If you're increasing your weight, you make note of that, reps, if you're able to, or even length of time. So yeah, just pay attention to those things going forward when you're working on your own.
I will tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing that's happened, sorry for interrupting, and that is.
No, that's totally fine. You interrupt away.
I've started to pull muscles in my back. And that is normal procedure for me. Anytime I start a weightlifting program up here or doing anything above my head and I start to play more squash, my body cannot handle that. However, I do look upon that as a good sign, because that means I'm stroking more, I'm playing more of the game I like, and I'm able to do that. Last night, it was a little sore, I got through it, but I'm going to have to give the higher weights a rest.
Yes.
But it is a good sign, because I know things are going in the direction that I want it to. Unfortunately, I cannot do both.
Yeah. And absolutely with the upper body, like even for me, because I'm dealing with a little bit of arthritis on the one shoulder I told you before. And, of course, the surgeon, the healthcare practitioners, they tell me, No, you don't go any higher than 5 to 10, max 15 pounds overhead because of your shoulder, right? Obviously personal trainers, I've talked to many different trainers and they tell me something completely different, right? Like, well, push as much as you can without, being in total pain and agony. So yeah, I got to find some kind of happy medium there. And I think that's probably the same for you. And I will say, just keeping up that mobility work, like especially the bird dog with resistance, it just needs to be light resistance, even just body weight, the plank, the push-ups, that's all body weight stuff. You don't need a lot of weight to make a difference when it comes to strengthening the upper there. Yeah. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with me or any questions that you have before we wrap up?
I don't think so. Other than the Canadians will be the singles will be out west next year. You never know; it might be at the Royal Glenora again. So if it does, I'll look you up. We'll go for coffee or something.
That would be sweet. I'd love to hang out with you and have a coffee. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me today, Wayne. And yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you. And I look forward to potentially connecting in the future.
All right. Thanks, Jennifer. We'll keep in touch.